You guys, I don't know what to say. I am shaking right now and I have goosebumps all over my body. Last night I was laying in bed before falling asleep and I was tossing and turning and I kept getting this thought in my mind. It was like, you need to go back to making some of those videos that you did sort of exploring Milwaukee history, Milwaukee fake history, some of these buildings that are either still possibly standing or have been lost to time. I did this like February-ish on my channel. I had come to kind of a halt at one point. I was investigating something called the NewHall house fire. I had a couple different windows with like at least 50 tabs, and I was like, you know what? I'm at a dead end. I'm not in the right mindset for this. Let me just minimize this, put it off to the side. I'll come back to it at a later date. Fresh eyes, and we'll come at it again. So that's like February. This bloody computer somehow still has this tab up on the side of my screen. I've unplugged this computer multiple times, and yet this tab is still there. So this morning I wake up after a night of one of the most insane dreams I've had in a very long time. And I'm like, okay, let's just sort of go back and see if any of these tabs are still open. Let's see if any of these pages are still up. And let's just sort of get ourselves reacquainted with what we had just last finished talking about. If you're newer to my channel, search my channel for titles like fake history, fake Milwaukee history, and you'll see a couple different videos on different buildings. That'll probably get you up to speed to where we are right now. Today, I am beyond shook, like I said. I have been trying to call the very few people I know that would care about this, and it's not that big of a deal because it's really just me coming to terms with what I already knew deep down, but I still am like shaking palpably right now. So, we're going to investigate something called the NewHall house, which is in Milwaukee. It had like a fire. From there, I'll lead you to what ended up blowing my mind. A completely different building that I did not know exists. And now I don't know what to do. Because I feel like my life has now, because I feel like my world has just been changed forever. It's fake, you guys. It's all fake. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. I can feel it. I don't know how to explain it, and I need to keep digging. But all I know for sure is these motherfuckers have been lying to us for a very, very long time. So, without further ado, let us begin. Alright everybody, we are back with our classic panoramic view of Milwaukee. I love coming back to and starting with this beautiful picture, clearly a painting, but it helps a lot in identifying certain places and placing them in what they allege is their timeline and narrative. We have, of course, in the center here, the beautiful Milwaukee City Hall. We also have, if we zoom in just a little bit, the classic Pabst building with the classic Japanese flag on it for whatever reason. The building next to it seems to have removed the tech, if you've seen in a previous video. There's a big old spire here that's pretty darn sure it's for Zeppelins to dock on. We have other famous buildings. We have the NewHall house, which we're going to be investigating today in the background. We have other city halls. We have huge train stations. If you were living in Milwaukee in between like 1857 and 1900, in those 40 years, you lived in one of the most beautiful, one of the highest cultured areas in the world, in my opinion. And for a state that only became a state in 1848, it really seems that their Germanic influence was a bit more than we think it is, or something else has to be happening. So without further ado, let's just sort of refresh ourselves. We have all of these buildings that we've investigated before. We have the classic City Hall. We have the Mitchell building, a beautiful French-style building. We have the Everett train station. We have the classic Pabst building. Look at this sucker. We have another train station, the train depot, another view of the Pabst building. Here you can see this spire, so techy. The whole building is very techy, but clearly this is used for a Zeppelin to come and dock. I don't know why else you would do this. It seems a bit strange, unless again, it's more of the tech, the antiquitech. I don't really know. We have the National Soldiers Home. We have a basilica. We have the Mackey Building. We have the Public Library, as and so many other buildings that were all built at the same exact time. They tell us. I don't know what's going on there. I don't really want to know what's going on there, but we're going to try to piece it together nonetheless. Let's start with our favorite. So today, this is where we left off way back in February. We're going to get back into it. This is the NewHall House Hotel and the fire that happened there. It says that it was the deadliest fire to have ever affected the city of Milwaukee. And it says it was built in 1883. We're going to be looking at a lot of pictures of this. I want you all to use your detailed eyes to sort of just get a look at what is happening in these pictures. This is obviously the building on fire, but look at the base of this building. Just notice the base of the building where people would enter and just sort of the ground floor, okay? Here is 1880, so I guess it wasn't built in 1883. This was built probably earlier. I think it was 1857. I think it said 1857, and the fire was in the 83s. I'm not sure. The timeline is so crazy. But okay, so here we are, a couple, 2 decades after the inception. The whole city is still using horse and buggy because it's the 1880s. And this is what we always find so curious about these buildings is you build such a grand building, but you build it not level. So there's obviously ways to enter lower into the building. The whole street thing, it's all obtuse and askew. It doesn't really make sense why you would build. I'm sure it's level at its foundation, but then the street, if this was like 1980 and the street was a little askew, as it still is, that would make more sense. But for a building that's allegedly just have been built and a city that's still sort of being built out, I still don't understand why all of these are mud flooded, I think is the term, where you can tell that a huge amount of earth has sort of washed up like tsunami water, hit these buildings, and then they seem to have been dug out partially. I don't really know. But again, let's check out the background in this this photo. See the building. There's like a spire for some reason. I don't really know what kind of tech that is, but that building in the background we'll see in different pictures. It's there and then it's not there. It's there and then it's not there. Also notice the roof of this building. It's clearly been photoshopped in my opinion, but notice the roof of this building. This is a picture of the interior. It's, I guess, just had the first electric illumination. Interesting. Here's another picture of the thing on fire. And this is the demolished state of the building. It just burned entirely. The building you see, the magnificent building you see, is not what we're talking about today. We've talked about this building. I believe it's called the Mackey Building. It's still standing today, believe it or not. It's an insane building that I'm like, who the hell put that up in Milwaukee? But yeah, so we have a fire, and let's just continue digging here. Let's start looking at some pictures. We've seen this one before. Now let's start looking at some more. Where's that building that was in the right side? It just seems to have disappeared. It's not there anymore. Notice the ground level, okay? A lot of these windows, whatever was happening at the ground level, it's all boarded up, bricked up. It's still not level. You have one entrance on one side of the building. You enter on the first floor. The other side of the building, you enter on the -1 floor. And check out the roof of this building, okay? We have some sort of like porch structure. I don't really understand, with a giant antenna sticking out. It's reminding me again of the Pabst building and the what I'm thinking it has to be. Imagine having a Zeppelin, okay, a big airship. You come and dock here, you get out, and then you make your way down into the building. I think that's probably what was going on, unless it was, again, some sort of tech thing. But in this photo, the whole top of the building just isn't there. Let's continue. Here's another shot of the building. We have the tops. The top seems to be standing there. The floor level is, again, not even. Some things are boarded up. Some things are not boarded up. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Let's keep going here. Here's a picture. This is the rubble left over. And you can see very slightly all of the people sort of lined up, almost like a choir concert, just sort of watching this. That's kind of strange to me. But nonetheless, this is where I kind of started to get caught up. So this is a painting, okay, of this NewHall house. This painting was completed, I think, in the 1883. Yeah. So the NewHall house opened in 1857, and this sketch of the NewHall house was completed in 1883. I'm really confused because this is the NewHall house in Milwaukee. You know, that's what we're investigating right now. But check out the top of the building. The top of the building is nothing like what we're looking at. Where's a good one? Up here. This top is not the same as this. Okay, this is just a drawing, obviously, but also this was done in 1883. This, where were some of our first pictures? Late. None of this makes sense. Here's the 1860s. Okay, late 1860s. If this is truly what it looked like in the beginning, you see all of these glass windows here. The street is like built out quite a bit. There's a lot of concrete sidewalking that seems to overlap into an incredibly elongated street. There's not that much space here. Again, if you looked at this picture, like it's a normal city block. You know, there's not a lot of space between, you know, the one side of the street and the other side of the street, and yet here we have something that's like totally built out. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and this was published in a Viennese magazine, it looks like, and I don't really know why. Again, 1883. In the drawing, there are pedestrians, a horse-drawn carriage, a large American flag flies on top. Like, what? That's what I don't understand a lot when we look at the tech thing, is this whole flagpole versus antiquitech conversation. It doesn't make any sense to me. Here's another picture, somewhat blurry, but it seems to be some sort of like lithograph sketch of almost like based on this picture in the Viennese magazine, which was already a sketch. Like, if this is originally how it looked, look at the front entrance. Sort of, what would this be called? It's like a portico or a porch or something. I'm not really sure. It looks like that whenever this was built, it was built level. It looks like you can enter on this side of the street, you can enter at this side of the street. It's all glass windows here. It looks beautiful. Like, look at this. It's all level. I don't know why, if this was completed in 1883 and it looks, you know, like this, I'm just like, what's going on here? The top of the building is not even the same. And this entrance here, this porch, is not the same either. And this is all glass, beautiful arched, sort of like colonnade first floor. And then, like, some of them are bricked in, some of them aren't. It just looks like within a very short amount of time, this building fell into repair. And why, if you're building all of these buildings, okay, remember the public library, the Mackey building, this basilica, the National Soldiers Home, the Pabst building, the Everett building, it goes on and on and on. Okay, why would you let it fall into disrepair so quickly? It doesn't make any sense to me. And this is where I got stuck last time. I'm like, what's going on here? I've been sitting on this for like 6 months, and nothing makes sense to me in any of these pictures. Like, you have, again, the tech. Here's this building on the right side that's now standing. It's really hard to date. There's no like dates given. It's all like sort of hearsay. Again, I don't know why the street is so unleveled. The portico porch seems to have been altered somewhat. Here's a really great shot of whatever the top of this building is. Like, what is that? You know, like I'm thinking, like that's like a really cool way to do like a porch. I need to like start a landscape company and mimic this by a pool, because how fucking sick is that? But again, why that on the top of the building when it's described in the Viennese magazine as a large American flag flies on top, and that's not even what it looks like, you know? Something strange is happening. Okay, that's the same tab. More pictures. They were talking about, remember, the whole building burned down, okay? This whole building burned down. There was a fire. It was the worst fire in Milwaukee's history. And I'm just looking at the detailing up on here. This top part is magnificent. Do you see all of this right here? Oh my fucking god. I'm just realizing this right now. That all right there, it looks like little fleur-de-lis, but I don't think those are fleur-de-lis. I think that's, we can't use this word out loud because of 2020, but I'm pretty sure that is Corona discharge. Where's a good picture? It's like a crown. Remember, Corona means crown. This isn't a good lighting, plasma, transmission line, ozone. Corona discharge. I'm pretty sure this is what's happening on top of this building right here. All of that wrought iron is doing something with the aether or the, like, I don't have the vocabulary for this. Again, why, if this building was just built, why did it fall into disrepair so quickly? You know, like they're building all of these magnificent buildings, but they just seem to not be able to take care of them at the same time. You know, I don't get that at all. Again, horse and buggies, and you know, their streets aren't paved. It looks like a mess, quite honestly. And it just seems like this was sitting here for like 1,000 years, and they just seem to happen upon it. It doesn't make sense. This is where it gets even more interesting. Okay, the NewHall was on the northwest corner of blah blah blah, where later the Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company erected a fine stone building. It's second in Milwaukee. The building is now referred to as the Loyalty Building at 611 North Broadway. So they also mentioned that the fire of the uninsured 6-story wood frame NewHall house occurred in 1883. I don't know about you guys, but does this look like a wood framed house? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are technically like 6 stories, but that's like a weird view of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish. Well, then there's like another story underneath here, so I don't know what's going on there. But does this look to you like a wooden framed building? The entire thing looks like solid brick. like what? Like, I don't understand. Does that look like a wood framed building to you? I don't think that's what a wood framed building is. But what I wanted to pay attention to here is that once it burned down, this is like a huge clue that something is being lied to. Talk about hidden hand. This life insurance company put up a new building. And do you guys know that that building is still standing today? And you would be floored to know that it is the Hilton Garden Inn. So after the NewHall house, once this guy burned down, allegedly, we got them to put up this building in its place. Yeah, this is the Hilton Garden in downtown Milwaukee. It's kind of a pretty building. The inside is like unbelievable. It has like such the detailing in the stairwell, just in this picture alone. This looks like Celtic knotting or some sort of almost like, call me crazy, but this almost looks like Middle Eastern in a way. It has some sort of like Islamic patterning. I don't even know how to explain it, but yeah, this is the building that they then put in this place once it burned down. But once again, we have a situation where if you're going to build this beautiful stone structure, why did you not make it level? You think they would have learned the first time when building something that maybe it would help in fire prevention, that you just don't build something, not level. This whole thing comes tumbling down, and then they build a whole stone thing on top of it. You know, somehow their materials never seem to run dry. This building, honestly, again, it looks like the top part of it looks like Venetian, but like again, it has like an. This is where people think like Tartaria, like Central Asia, like this is where people like. I think might be hitting something like a nail on the head, because there is something very strange in this architectural style. They'll call it like Queen Anne or Romanesque, but that's not exactly what's going on here. And again, the street level is not there. I don't know what happened to the NewHall house, but something very strange did, and it seems like the reason it probably burned down is for the top of the building. I've never seen something like this before. I don't really understand it, but this is what led me to probably one of the craziest discoveries I've found in a long time. Let's continue to have our mind blown, all right? So I'm sure a lot of you are aware of all of the exhibitions that took place in the late 19th century across America. This is a picture of one from Chicago. This statue of what I believe is Columbia is still in the park today in Chicago. I know, you can hardly believe that where this all is sitting right here, all of this fine waterwork, all of these buildings, this was all just put up in like a year. They tell us that this is all fake, that this is all like plastered buildings, that this is all sort of makeshift just for these fairs and expositions, all right? They did all of this hydraulic work, all of the water. There's so many pictures. Like imagine having all of these canals, fully built out canals. Like looking at this picture, does this look like something that's made out of plaster? To me, it does not. And for such an early time frame, they really had such a mastery of water pressure. Look at all of these fountains, just unbelievable detailing. We all have seen these. We all have seen all of the thousands of videos out there investigating what exactly happened with these quote-unquote exhibitions. Here's another picture of, is this downtown Chicago? It looks like downtown Chicago. Yeah, something very strange happened in our history. But the reason I bring this up is because I have lived in San Francisco in my life, and I've used to be a big fan of running, still am somewhat, but more of a biker. Yeah, they tell that this is all plaster. Give me a fucking break. But anyways, they have one of these exhibitions in San Francisco, and the only remaining part of the exhibition that still stands today is the Palace of Fine Arts. I have gone through this like a bajillion times at all points of the day and night too. Like I remember running through here at like 1 o'clock in the morning. What an eerie feeling I had. But this is the only thing that remains of the exhibition in San Francisco, still standing today. And I just don't know. I just don't know what's going on here. But Milwaukee never had one of these. Okay, getting back on subject, Milwaukee never had one of these, but they tried. They had something called the Industrial Exposition, I guess. The Milwaukee, Yes, the Milwaukee Industrial Exposition Building, which opened in 1881 and was located downtown. Let's see here. The exhibition building itself would only last until 1905, after it was ravaged by a massive fire. That's so funny because they were playing a card tournament called Scat. I don't know about you, but if any of you have gone online and searched Scat before, I don't think that's exactly what they meant to write here. But Milwaukee never had an exhibit per se. They just built a building that they could house some things that they wanted to show. But it never never was going to be lasting very long, because it only lasted about 20 years, 25 years before, of course, it burned down. Like everything else just seems to burn down. But it says it opened in 1881, okay? And let me show you what this looks like, because it'll blow your mind. This is the building. This is the Milwaukee Industrial Building. I've never seen this before in my life. I never knew that this existed. Look at the scale of this building. Look at the glasswork along. I don't even know what to say. I could spend like hours just looking at pictures of this building in particular. And I don't know if I'll ever figure out what the heck was going on. We did not build this, okay? We didn't build any of these buildings. There's no doubt in my mind. We probably built these wooden shack things here as refugees, people just coming to America. I'm fairly certain we'd probably be able to build something like this, but we didn't build this building behind here. There's no doubt about that. What's really interesting is that this opened, like they say, in 1881, okay? But it says in 1880, a location west of the Milwaukee River was chosen due to the announcement of a different railroad depot that would be constructed. The block was selected, and it's now in what is between State Street and Kilbourne Street. Okay, they always say this, built in the Queen Anne style, and its polygonal dome was touted the finest in the country, which is this polygonal dome. I mean, how would you even, like, the architecture is unreal. Like, I don't even know how that thing is standing. But it says, yeah, it opened in 1881, but it was, the location for it was selected only a year prior. So it doesn't say when it was started to be built, just like any of these buildings. They'll say when it opened, but they'll never say when it was built. They are lying to us like 1000%. Let's just look at more pictures of it, because I'm just like still blown away that this existed in Milwaukee. This is the Exhibition building. Please comment below if you've ever heard about this. I've never heard about this, but look at how beautiful this is. And of course the whole thing burned down. Of course you can have an architect ingenious like this, but then always have it somehow be susceptible to fire. Like, I saw this, and that's when I started shaking, because I knew that they've been lying to us. Like, there's no way that this existed in Milwaukee and was built by actual Milwaukeeans. Like, this is the old world. This is a part of an old narrative. Like all of these other buildings, like the Mackey building, the Everett Street Station, the Pabst building, this is all from a prior civilization. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I don't know if we'd even be able to replicate a building like this. Like, I don't know if anyone would even be able to build something like this, much less all of those ones in stone. Like, something very strange is going on here. Like, I don't even know what to say. And for this article about this Milwaukee industrial building to then just include this picture, the industrial building isn't even like in this picture. I'm like, why is that even included in that? Like, that's so fucking weird. Here's another picture of some sort of like postcard, it looks like. Unbelievable. It also looks like it somehow went through different renovations. Like, it seems like, okay, here's one of those chimney things. Like, if we look at, let's make sure I don't get lost here. Let's look at this picture. There's one of these chimneys, but the building, it's like the chimney moved. It's like this chimney should be like more in the center, and this whole thing elongated. If you're looking at this building, like, look at how long this is. There's no chimney. Like, in this picture, the chimney's right there, or chimney, that's what I call it now. This is probably used for something else. And now it's like more in the center. The whole front of the building is completely different. Like, look at the first floor of this building, and then look at the first floor of this building. Like, are these even the same things? Like, it says that this is the Milwaukee Industrial Building, you know, but like, it's not the same building that's in the pictures of it. Like, these are lithographs, right? Like, there's sketches. They're not like actual pictures. They're more drawings. Look at the, yeah, look at the front. Like, this is not the same thing. Like, am I going crazy here or what? Like, these are clearly different things. I don't get it at all. Like, look at that. Like, there's no way that we built this. The population during this time wouldn't make sense. Like, 40 years after becoming a state, we not only built this building, but like a dozen others, just the same magnitude, just the same, like, flair. Like, what are these things, you know? And of course they tell us that it burned down. Okay, and you guys are gonna it's gonna blow your mind, you know, what's there now. So let's just go back to our picture here where we started. We have a panorama view. So if any of you have been to Milwaukee, this road right here goes south. It used to be an old Indian trail, they'll tell us. But this is a panorama view. So this road right here actually butts up directly to this building. This road here is pointing directly west, even though it's all curved because of this picture. So let's just take a look over in the corner here, the west here, where they said it was between State and Kilbourne. Here is our building. Here is our grand panoramic building. But at the same time, this dome is not the same. Like, remember how they said that this octagonal or polygonal dome, like, granted this is just a picture, but this is not the same thing. Again, no glass is really pictured. None of these famous chimneys are there. We have the American flags, of course, but something is very strange. Like, they put it on this side of the building. They built this just, to exhibit the industrial power of Milwaukee, which is pretty grand for, again, a city that allegedly, I don't know, it just seems like such a lie to me. So where this used to be, well, let's figure out what's there now. So Milwaukee City Hall, this right here, this beautiful building, is right here. We need to go directly west. They said it was between State Street and Kilbourne. Yep. Right where they said it would be, there is now an Aurora Medical Center parking lot. The whole shebang. I don't know what happened here, you guys. Like I said, I didn't even know that this building existed in Milwaukee's history. I didn't know we would have had something like this. I don't know what's going on. Again, we've been lied to on such a massive scale. I don't even know what to say. But I hope you enjoyed this investigation of the NewHall house and whatever happened to it and what they call the Milwaukee Industrial Exposition building. I wish this was still standing today because, my God, it would be worth a fortune. Anyways, I think I'll leave it there for today. I'll be back soon as inspiration strikes. Let me know what you guys think about this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
It's a Mr. Theron production.